Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
When next we meet, it shall be as enemies.
We got Chris.
Why were you chosen to be with me? It doesn't make any sense.
And I'm Kia. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Oh, if I sound giddy, it's because we're finally through with it. We did it. We made it to the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Finally, this is going to be the end of Crisis Spectacular. We are going to talk about issue number 12. We're going to kind of talk about the whole thing, and then we're going to start our next big read with Secret War number 1. Wow. All right. Crisis number 12. So much happened in this, and yet so little.
So let's for the people who haven't been following along, maybe just turning it on.
Yeah, we really should. Yeah.
For the last 11 episodes, we've been doing at the end segment, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now we're doing the finale, issue 12, which is a double-sized issue. Everything that you thought has happened, that you've probably read about, if you've never read Crisis on Infinite Earths, has happened. There was a bunch of universes. Everybody got together. There was a guy called the Monitor. There was a guy called the Anti-Monitor. There were 2 planets called Oa and its sister planet Quord. It was Oa Quord. Mm-hmm. So dumb.
And there was a lot of dumb stuff. There was some actual good stuff. We really liked issues 7 and 11, right?
Issue 7 was the issue where Supergirl died. And that was,
right.
that was a double-sized issue.
Done.
It was really well done.
And then Flash, issue 11... Oh, sorry. What?
Flash had a really good issue where he tricked the Psycho Pirate into helping him, which was like a good, it was basically half an issue, but it was good.
Yeah. Psycho Pirate was always cool.
And so that was because all the planets, all the multiverses were collapsing upon themselves, and they stopped it. And they were kind of just
so there were only 5 or 6 left for a little while, and so all those heroes were banded together to try and keep it from happening any worse, right?
Yeah, and all the supervillains saw this as a great opportunity to team up and fight everybody. And then issue 11 happened where there was kind of like a hard reset, kind of like almost the beginning of House of M or any how did I get here situation where suddenly Old Man Superman's like, I'm in a different world and why is everything so different? And none of the villains remember what happened. But all the heroes
it's only the good guys who were there fighting at the origin of the universe or whatever. So when you hear people talking about post-crisis, it's that moment where everything converged. There's no more multiverse. It is just the one DC universe, and that's it.
Yeah, which has completely, if you know your DC history, Infinite Crisis decided to restore the multiverse. Mm-hmm. And then there was Final Crisis, which I'm not exactly sure what happened, but that's the title of this issue also, Final Crisis.
Oh, it is, isn't it? So you might ask yourself, sounds like this thing's over. And I feel like you might be right, and yet at the same time, the Monitor, the big villain, is still hanging around, posing a threat.
Okay, so this is my question. Is he the Anti-Monitor or the Monitor?
Oh, sorry, you're right, Anti-Monitor.
But they sometimes call him just the Monitor.
The good Monitor is dead.
But is he the good? I'm looking at all this supplemental material because they have the big 30th anniversary trade or collection, and they're talking about how the Monitor had to be in 2 issues of every DC book, and he was kind of like a dude in the shadows who gave information to supervillains.
Right. But I think when the good Monitor died, it was that same spirit. I think it's kind of almost like a Sentry situation where it's they're 2 sides of the same coin, maybe.
Okay.
Or a Adam Warlock-y kind of thing or something like that. I don't know for sure, but that's the vibe I got.
Okay. And
does that make sense to you?
It does, but it seemed weird because sometimes they just call him the Monitor, and I got really confused.
Yeah, you're right. It was never really super fleshed out, as far as we were able to read. I got to be honest with you, this last issue, there were a lot of those same moments where people are fighting in random cities. It's random people, just kind of the same generic, fluffy kind of fighting that we've been seeing throughout the first 12. And I started to glaze through those because I was like, I know this is the last issue. I know this isn't going to magically start some new storyline with these characters that I have to worry about before the end of this issue.
Yeah, I mean,
so I may have missed a few things.
I think this issue did it better than previous issues, but
you're right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
spoiler alert. We did not really like Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think it was kind of a slog for us.
Right.
But the first page is really good. It has a little narration caption of who each character is, and it basically clearly states and this is what we've got to do. It's a full page splash, and it's got all that stuff. And I'm like, we're off to a great start. Y'all should have been doing this every issue.
Yeah, I agree.
It would have been way more helpful because I don't know. I mean, I know kind of who Adam Strange is, but I don't know who Atomic Knight is. Or
Animal Man was there. I love me
looking
some
a lot
Man.
like Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
Adam Strange is great. But I didn't really know a lot of these people. But again, by this point in the book, I learned like it's not important. I don't have to know who they are. They're just DC characters.
But this did a better job of this, and we'll talk about this with Secret Wars later. I think this did a really good job of setting up like here are all your characters in a way that like who the fuck is this? And then like in the middle of it, explained that Superman was Clark Kent. And it spent like 7 panels on that, like an issue 8 or 9. I'm like, that's that.
I
like
forgot about
explain
that.
the Freedom Fighters or Commandy or something.
That's my favorite. Oh man, before we get too negative, I know a lot of people are coming into this, and I do want to say like I was thinking about like this book is important, like so hugely important, like a big event like this. Part of the excitement was just like, oh my god, everybody is going to be in one book. Like if I was 10 years old picking this thing up off the stands, that's a huge moment. No wonder like it's been like copied and redone or like revisited so often. It's a great history lesson. I don't want to like put anything like I don't think you can like really enjoy this unless you are super entrenched with that era of DC as well.
And that's what's difficult. It's like showing up to Avengers Infinity War the movie.
Right.
Without having any prior context. You're basically like my dad watching Avengers Infinity War. It's like I kind of know who Captain America is, and he shows up and is like, I don't care about any of this because there's not really like set up. I mean, to say like this is why you should care about the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it does to a point if you are like already invested and watched previous 18, 19 movies, however many it was.
But it does require that investment. Yeah.
And my dad's like, I don't care.
Right, you're not like cheering in the theater. You're just like, oh, he's like a sarcastic guy. Another one.
Yeah.
They're all sarcastic guys. That's all. Yeah. So back to Crisis and what's going on here. There's that point where all those villains will go ask Brainiac for help, and Brainiac's like, I don't remember helping y'all. Why would I do that? But wait a minute. My computers say you're not lying. So what is going on? And so he's like into it now.
I do love that. He turns himself off and then on again, and then it says several minutes later.
I think that's like the clumsiest storytelling possible. I'm like, why did you have to introduce that wrinkle to it? Like, I mean, I understand that like they wanted to have this explanation that some of the heroes remember and none of the villains do, and that they don't remember the past, and we're going for one DC universe singular past. But also, it's like, couldn't Brainiac just have said like, I don't remember that, but I'm really smart, so my computer still detected it. And like he could have got away with a line, but instead they have like this weird 3-panel exchange to get to that same point. And I'm like, this just seems really clumsy.
It's clumsy, but I loved it. I thought it was
now
funny.
That you explain it that way, it is really silly. I do enjoy it.
I just love the idea of a 1985 supercomputer booting up for like 4 minutes while everybody's like, well, how much longer is this going to be?
We kill the Monitor a few times. Basically, I mean, it's all just like heroes up there shooting energy at each other, saying, "Oh, he's getting his energy from this. Let's destroy that thing."
He's like enveloped Earth, and he's giving like a "You are doomed" speech.
Right. I couldn't help but think of Frisky Dingo because he's saying, "What? Welcome to your doom." Yep. And I just imagined the typo on that postcard. Yeah. Welcome to your doom.
Is the wink implied? It's like, why'd you put doom in quotes?
Frisky Dingo, watch that if you haven't.
Yeah, watch that, not this. But there's a lot of things like it's like suddenly we're remembering that Barry Allen died 4 issues ago and Supergirl died 5 issues ago, which we haven't dealt with the fallout of at all. Really?
So Barry Allen,
like Wally just somehow goes to the planet and is just like, I just felt like I should go, and then is like, what? Flash is dead?
It's like I guess he did die in the middle of this, but we also thought he was dead. Well, was just lost to the other dimension or the speed dimension.
Well, he's been jumping around still in time, so you still see like Barry of the past when he jumped into the future, which is a cool mechanic. I would if I was writing a '90s DC comic, I would just throw one of those scenes in there just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I like
that. But there's a lot of. It seems like a lot of the beats of like the last 4 issues were pointless because we're following up on the beats from 4 or 5 issues ago that were never mentioned. And this book has a way of doing that where it's just like it has cliffhangers or it has certain events that happen and then it doesn't revisit them, or it does several issues later.
Yeah, I just really wish that they had just taken all that space that they gave to these kind of extraneous fights and just replaced it with fleshing out some of those other storylines. Like, if this book has any fault, it's just trying to do too much. And that's also like just something that should be praised for sure. But we've seen it done better now. It's hard to judge it by today's standards, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like, I don't know if it's actually like the first event comic of like the entire universe, but it feels like I think it might be.
I think it for sure. I think it's like the first event in comic book history, right? For like, no, like there definitely wasn't anything bigger than this beforehand, right?
I mean, like line wide like this, definitely. But there had been other like, I mean, there'd been like Clash of Champions and stuff like that on a smaller scale.
There's both wacky races and Animal Olympics from Hanna-Barbera.
They should bring back Wacky Races.
I think DC might be publishing a Wacky Races book, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I want to see a TV show like where it's like crazy and we get all sorts of different styles.
So you should watch Mickey and the Roadster Racers. With Donald Duck and this week's special guest Guillermo del Toro playing Goofy's uncle.
Whoa! What?
Goofy and Mickey and Donald are in a race like Wacky Races style, and Guillermo del Toro shows up playing Guillermo del Goofin or something. And he voices a character that looks like him, but in like Goofy form, and he's Goofy's uncle, and he gets Goofy to stay in a haunted house. I'm dead serious. It came out, I guess, like 3 days ago.
It's a movie?
No, it's a TV episode of a Mickey Mouse show.
Okay, say the name of the show again. This is important. This is more important than
Mickey and the Roadster Racers.
Oh my god! All right, Mickey and the Roadster Racers. And you don't only know this because you have a. How old is Bruce now?
He's gonna be 5 in about a month.
I get that. Did he love that episode?
We haven't seen it yet because we're recording it before it came out.
Oh, whoa!
So anyway, there'd never been a crossover like this before. Like that, there was that big Thanos storyline that we did. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've actually done all of it, but the one where Thanos died, where he fought out and turned to stone at the end of, which I don't think have we done that one?
We might have to at some point. It's been a while, I feel, since we've done some of that Marvel cosmic stuff.
But I'm ready. Like that was the last one. Like that was his last appearance for like a decade, and then he was still in stone form when like he came back. Like we did the issue.
That's right. We saw that part. Yeah.
Yeah, where he was still in the stone. But there was never anything where it was just like a freestanding issue separate from that. So I think it's really ambitious, and I do think, I mean, like it's hard to talk about just art on a podcast. The art is really cool, and like this issue has a bunch of big fights, and I think
especially there's so much more outer spacey, and Anti-Monitor is doing like a lot of resurrection stuff, which is kind of drawn differently every time. There's a lot of room for creativity, which definitely gets explored, I think, to its fullest extent. Like they do the art in this is beautiful. Oh God, I'm blanking. Who did the art?
George Perez.
Yes. He does a great job. I think if you're going to read Crisis in this day and age, pictures, be prepared to kind of really flip through a lot of it and just appreciate the art. I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and it's like, I would definitely recommend, especially in this day and age, because it is such a work that everyone is familiar with. Like, I would check your local library or otherwise, like, see like your bookstore or comic book store and get like a hard copy, because I really don't think if you're like reading it on your phone or tablet, you're gonna be disappointed, I think.
Yeah.
If you're reading like a small version of it, you'll be like, meh. But if you're actually looking at like the full size images of it, you'll be like, wow, that's actually pretty cool stuff. Yeah. In terms of just the art, the story is not that great, honestly.
Yeah. Superman has a great line in this book. I was expecting more satisfaction.
Yes. I do like the Earth 2 Superman and his whole storyline in this issue. I do think
it was nice. You're right. We should explain that. So Monitor is defeated. Resurrect is defeated again. Resurrect. This happens a few times.
Everybody basically starts leaving, and then
right, because otherwise they're gonna get like trapped there, so they have to get out.
Yeah, and he comes back, and then he's just like he kills Wonder Woman, and almost kills Superboy, I think.
Superboy, yeah. And so at this point, like Superboy, old Superman, and Alex Luthor are like, well, everyone else has already gone, like exited this antimatter universe or whatever it was. We have to stay here and keep fighting him because otherwise, who else is going to do it? So they sacrifice themselves to kind of know that they're lost to all space and time, stuck in this other world, because there's no way to get back to regular matter. Which I did really appreciate that. Like, it did feel like a weighty sacrifice, I thought.
Well, and I didn't appreciate it when I read Infinite Crisis in like 06.
Yeah.
But like, they show back up.
Well, and that's like, it feels a little undermining, right? Because it's like we're back to take our universe.
Yeah, but it's still like fucking like 20 years later. I guess they are like villains. So, and Superboy is like crazy. So I guess it's not exactly great. But at the time, I'm like, man, we haven't seen Old Man Superman in 20 years. How's he doing? He came back for like a big event, which actually made me think that like Alexander Luthor was gonna like do something in this book, and I contend he did. Like,
for a little while, he had some cool star eyes.
Yeah, but that was Darkseid, and we didn't. I don't even think we talked about.
You're right. We didn't talk about that.
They team up with Darkseid.
Oh my god, Darkseid has computers that can see through Alex Luthor's eyes. What the fuck?
And then control him. He's like, now I'm going to shoot laser beams through Alex Luthor's eyes, and that will defeat Anti-Monitor. And you're like, the fuck?
Where did that come from? Oh, I can't.
They team up with Darkseid. They team up with Darkseid, and Darkseid's like, okay, thank you so much for helping us, Darkseid. No problem. I realized that we had to defeat this guy, or else none of us would survive. But next time, gonna be villains. We're gonna be enemies next time.
Next time. So go ahead and get out of here, because next time we're gonna fight.
I don't really understand how to read all of the air quotes on Darkseid's dialogue, but he has like 4 of them, and I'm like, do you mean these as sarcastic quotes, or like, what does this mean? Like, he'll just be like, I don't make, quote, compromises. I'm like, what does that mean?
Is the wink implied?
It's the wink implied. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Superboy, Old Man Superman, and Alex Luthor have made this sacrifice. They've defeated the Monitor, finally. How did they finally do it? Just more energy punching?
The first time they defeat him,
right,
it's because they use Dr. Light's power. She like siphons a power from a star, which I think is a little like anticlimactic, because she again hasn't been seen really since issue 7, and she's never figured big into the DC universe. So I don't understand why she's the big MacGuffin, that everything depends on. Like that to me seems just like weird storytelling. Like, it's like, if you're gonna have like somebody like rise up, maybe
we should have seen more of them.
You should have given like 10 issues or just a couple like scenes of them saying like, I don't think I'm capable of it over the last 4 months. To then rise to that, because otherwise I'm like, who the fuck is this Dr. Light? I haven't seen her in 4 issues, and that bothers me. They use. I think, is it Darkseid's eyes is the final killing of Anti-Monitor the first time? Is it?
Well, they use all the magic. All the magic screws up the ghost bodies.
That's right. The Green Lantern people and whatever Doctor Strange's ghost people. Not Doctor Strange, because he's not in this, but the equivalent.
Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate. There we go. They like poisoned Anti-Monitor, so every time he thought he was getting stronger, he was actually getting weaker. And I'm like, this is cool. Although I think at the same time, I think they're saying in the book, they're like literally, I don't understand what's happening. I think the characters actually say that.
Yeah.
I know at one point after they defeat Anti-Monitor the first time, one of them says that was anticlimactic. Like, don't fucking undercut yourself like immediately.
Yeah. But that's also like, I instantly was like, oh, so if they're gonna joke about it, that means they're definitely coming back. And I just didn't expect it to come back multiple times. What does Superman say on one of those pages? Old Man Superman's like, I'm getting tired of this. I was like, yeah, me too. So we see that Alex Luthor No, it's not. Who was it who has like a void inside of them? It's Alex Luthor, right?
Yeah, it's Alex Luthor.
Who has like another dimension inside himself?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happened, but Lois Lane, old man Superman's old Lois Lane, is in there.
She's not dead.
And she's not dead. And she says, hey, come live with me inside this other void universe that has been created just for us, and that way we won't have to die out here in the middle of space. You'll be able to live with me, because that's all you wanted, because I'm not dead. And Superboy is like, beats being dead, sure. And so he's there too. And so the four of them, Superman, Superboy, Lois, Luthor, go live in this other universe for 20 years, where, we don't see them until Infinite Crisis, where they come back as villains because they've gone mad inside this other universe. Which I actually really appreciate. I don't think I appreciated it in Infinite Crisis, but I kind of like it more now. So, maybe I just needed a little more DC history before I appreciated it. I think that is a fun, silly twist. I am not a believer in, like, oh, that's sacred. You can't, like, undercut their sacrifice. Like, no, that's a fun idea. Just fucking go with it. Sounds awesome. Yeah, good stuff. So then we get this epilogue about, like, all the random people and what they're doing. None of it really matters.
We get like a, hey, Wonder Woman's got a new origin. We won't see her for a couple years until George Perez is ready. But
Wildcat is reading the newspaper.
Well, it's like these are all the characters that are alive. And you find out that I guess Lila Harbinger is like giving all this narration of like, and then Wally decided to be just the full Flash, and then somebody goes up to her and is like, "Are you done? Come on, let's go." I think they literally say, "Lila, are you done yet?" And "done" is in italics.
Are you done yet?
Like, wrap this book up. We are fucking done with you talking.
We're out of here.
Like, it is time to wrap this book up.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys remember how one and only one issue of this book had that little other comic that ran alongside the bottom?
Okay, so I have a theory.
Okay. Oh, you have a theory. Okay.
Yes. So I was reading all the supplemental materials. Originally, this book was supposed to be 10 issues, not 12. And then the final 2 issues were going to be the history of the DC universe, like the new past, which is in the collected edition, is kind of like a textbook, kind of like a kid's golden book story. Okay. I think that was issue 10, and it was setting up and it's also narrated by Lila. I think that was setting up that structure. That then the following 2 issues, the last 2 issues of Crisis, would have not been, this is the new world, like how Superman wakes up, but instead it would have just been an established history of the DC universe. And that would have been the storytelling device that permeated through that. I think it's just a vestigial thing that they didn't.
Yeah.
2 issues?
It's huge in the trade. It's huge. It's boring, too. Which Marv Wolfman says. So I planned to write it, and then George started drawing it, and I was like, I wanted to write all the words first, and then George could draw around it. But then I went on vacation, and I decided to move from New York to California, and then George drew all the art. So I'm like measuring, because this is before digital. He's measuring like picos to like make sure that, or pica, to make sure that the font fits with what he's saying. The copy can fit with around the art. So like,
whoa,
like he's basically having to make his words fit around the art, and he's like, some of it didn't come out great, but I think it was. And then I reread it, and I'm like, it's all right. It's what Marv Wolfman says in the collected edition. And I was reading it, and I'm like, this is really dry, Marv. Like, this whole book is already dry, and this is especially dry. Because I carved out some time today, and I'm like, I'm going to read this history of the DC universe. Because Mark Waid wrote one at the back of 52, and that was really good. Do you remember those? How he had like a 2-pager about like a different character?
Yeah, I never really read too much of the DC ones, but it does remind me of like the Marvel handbooks that they would put out occasionally, which I always appreciate. I think it's always nice to have like, at least like, hey, here's the rules we're kind of going by right now.
Yeah, I think there was like Superman Secret Files, I think, is one of those. Yeah. Which as like a 7 or 8 year old, I would have like schematics of Star Wars ships, just books about that.
Again, we love like schematics and stuff like that, like anything that just lets you delve deeper into these characters that you love. Like sometimes that's way more fun than like, oh, this issue where he did this or this issue where they did that. It's like, oh, this is the handbook though. This is the important one.
We had those trading cards that did the same thing.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. I think it's such a fun use of a character to do stuff like that. But when they pretty much wrap things up, we should probably start wrapping things up on Crisis itself. Anything else we want to say about this book on the whole? Like, again, I know we were really hard on the writing and everything, but I do like just like the pair that they had to like just try something like this and to realize they needed to clean up their universe. Like, good for them. Kudos to them. Like, I think this set a pretty big standard on what you are able to really do and accomplish in comics, and just go for it, and then give your creators a clean slate to kind of do whatever they want. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the intent was there, and I think it was smart, but like Spider-Man One More Day, like, the way we got to that, like, what came out of that was really good. But the way we got there, I think, was really messy. And this one wasn't, like, as infuriating. It's not infuriating or, like, as insulting to me, probably
right.
Possibly because I don't have a lot of the DC history before this. It's not as insulting to me as the way One More Day was. But I do think that this story is, like, super clumsily told. Like, it doesn't know who to focus on. It doesn't know what plots to focus on. It tells the same events over and over again in, like, a way that doesn't seem to build right, or it, like, it ignores 4 issues to then double back to issue 7, and, like, well, then why did we have those last 4 issues? And then I think, and then you have some new characters like Lila and Pariah and Alexander Luthor, who, I mean, I understand in events you create new characters, but I was thinking more about, like, and this will probably give me something, some guff, is I think they should have tried to merge maybe those 3 characters, or, like, cut them down, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Pariah doesn't really have a payoff in this issue, and Alexander Luthor doesn't really do enough, and Lila's kind of like a powerful, like, person, all-knowing person who's new to this world, and I'm like, you could have put some of Alexander Luthor's stuff into her.
Here's what you do, Alexandra Luthor. There you go.
You know, like, but just like little things like that. There's like the book is very messy. I think it could be seriously tightened up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I'm a little higher on this book than y'all, because I think there are good ideas here, and, like, if I was, like, making a movie out of this, or, like, a mini series, I could definitely see, like, there's stuff where I'd be like, oh, this is a really good idea. This would be, like, an awesome episode. But at the same time, like, you'd have to streamline or cut a lot of it, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
You know, I think, you know, like, you talk about, like, Watchmen being, like, unfilmable. Like, this actually, I think, could be a good, you know, like, season of TV, because it actually could be expanded into something good. Because if you actually gave time to, like, the, you know, Animal Man and Dolphin and whoever else was on that Brainiac spaceship, where, like, we check in with those guys, you know, give them an entire episode where they have, like, a 25-minute story, and then check in with them 5 minutes in some other stories, then maybe I'm invested in who the hell they are.
Right. I mean, Game of Thrones has, like, 4 or 5 different fronts with, like,
I was
a whole
thinking
kingdom
about Game
of, like,
Thrones as well.
Game of Thrones. I mean, Game of Thrones is Game of Thrones, and not many shows or book series duplicate it. But, like, there's, like, 5 different, like, kingdoms and, like, full stories that are happening, like, in a serial way, where it's not just like, and, like, because we talk about, like, well, make this just Captain America's team, and then everybody else is periphery. But, like, you know, in Game of Thrones, like, there's several different people in acting, like, in whatever X kingdom you want to talk about. It's not just like, oh, that's that thing. So I think you could do it. I think, right? Chris, I think you could do it. I just think the way that this executed it didn't happen. Yeah. But they're all really cool moments, and I really liked issue 7 of this, and I liked parts of issue 11.
And like I said, I think you can see the bones of ideas where it's like, oh, we've got this character for this new Wildcat. Oh, we've got, like, the Robin and Huntress of Earth 2, and, like, oh, we've got, you know, these different characters, and then they just don't have time for them. Like, they really just don't give them anything to do. And then, like, you know, issue 11, they're like, oh yeah, Robin and Huntress, here they are. And you basically forgot about them, because I don't think we had seen them in, like, 8 issues, you know?
And then they died.
Yeah, and then they died in issue 12.
Poor things.
But not even giving them enough time. Like, they kill Wonder Woman, like, in half a panel.
Yeah, like, they had such, like, pointless, like, oh, by the way, they're dead kind of things. When, like, Supergirl got a whole thing, And would don't get me wrong, Supergirl is a little bit more present, more important, but like Huntress and Robin had that great moment in one of the earlier issues where they're like, "Geez, so I guess we just never existed, huh? Well, that's rough." And I really wish we could have kept following those characters
because then and Huntress gets like crushed, like kind of off panel-ish, and you're like, Huntress has been crushed, she's probably gonna die, and then like a few pages later, like, oh yeah, Robin's dead also, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And then like meanwhile, like Power Girl just survives. So like, she's on Earth 2, from Earth 2, and it's just like, well, have fun, I guess.
Yep. You just live here now. So anything else? It's our new segment. Do we have a name for it? The recommendation segment. Instead of this, or on top of this, or what would you recommend somebody read instead, or with Crisis of Infinite Earths? Vince?
So I mean, Infinite Crisis is obviously like an obvious follow up to this. Just because it is a sequel. Although I really liked Countdown to Infinite Crisis. That book was like an 80-page special that I thought had a lot of fronts that was really cool. But I'm actually going to recommend 52. The whole thing. It was DC's, I think, first experiment with a weekly comic after Infinite Crisis. And it's got a ton of no-name characters that by the end of it, you really seem to enjoy. And it follows like all the different facets of the DC universe and has like history lessons about it. It's got Renee Montoya becoming the Question. It's got Batwoman, who we talked about. It's got Detective Chimp, I think, shows up. It's got Blue Beetle. It's got Booster Gold. It's just a whole lot of fun. I would recommend that if you want to like get like in all the corners of the DC universe in a way that I think is fun, interesting, a little easier to read, a little more well written. I would recommend 52. It is obviously 52 issues plus a extra miniseries because they actually needed more issues. But yeah, I'd recommend that.
Perfect. Chris, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, if you just want a big event comic that is easily digestible, I would recommend previous episode Infinity Gauntlet. It's still got, it has one character that you probably don't know if all you've seen is the Marvel movies, although you probably also don't know who Pip the Troll is, but you don't need to know who he is.
Yeah, it's okay. You'll learn to love him.
But Adam Warlock is not in the movies. He's basically, a combination of Vision and he's hinted at in Guardians 2. But the rest of it is basically just, it's one simple story where all the heroes have to fight one villain, and the villains also, Doctor Doom and Kang are involved with that, which is fun. So it's a fun story, and then it's got a good twist in it too, where spoiler alert, I guess, for a 20-year-old comic, but Thanos, he's not just an idiot. He succeeds more or less in his goal, which, mild spoiler alert. If you've seen anything in memes in the last 6 months, Thanos more or less succeeds in his goal in the part 1 of the Avengers movie. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I did have another recommendation
sure.
Based off of that. If you like the aspects of like the end of the universe and people dealing with their universe ending, there's a lot of side stories from Secret Wars, Marvel Secret Wars 2015, specifically the Miss Marvel issues. I think it's like, I want to say like issues like 16 to 20, where she like knows that the universe is about to end and she just spends it at a high school like shelter with her friends. And it's and then she teams up with Carol Danvers, her hero, for one last final mission because Carol Danvers is like, we're all gonna die. This girl worships me. Like, let's go on an adventure together. And it's really good.
Yeah, those are great. I really like the way that whole Secret Wars from 2015. I don't know. They just had like a lot of fun, different alternate universes that have been slapped together, and so we're just gonna have a whole bunch of series that take place in these weird ass alternate universes and have some fun. Cool.
They had really good supplemental stories to the point where I'm wondering if Crisis had those too.
Yeah.
Like I think that not just reading the full event, because I didn't read the core event of Secret Wars 2015, but I read a lot of the side stuff, and a lot of the side stuff was really good.
I mean, oftentimes side stuff is sometimes, I think, actually quite often a lot more fun than the main event. So, maybe one of these days we'll go back and try and read some of this stuff that was near Crisis that might or is supposed to be good. Might be fun to do. My recommendation for a follow-up would be Animal Man, which came right after this. I love that series of Animal Man. That is Grant Morrison. Yeah, I believe this was right before he started Doom Patrol as well. Or maybe right around that same era, but kind of that same freedom of his to kind of just like try whatever, do a lot of weird fourth wall breaky kind of stuff, and just like have fun with the idea of what comics could be, which again I think Crisis really helped open the door for.
We're gonna have to go back to Doom Patrol. We read we
should. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd forgotten how much I love that. And they're making a Doom Patrol TV show as well.
I know. I don't know if it's on the DC Universe streaming service or not. I don't remember if it is.
We'll have to wait and see. All right. Hey, so, now that we're done with Crisis, time to start our next big read. And, of course, if we did DC's first universe-wide event, we should go to Marvel's first. Although, I mean, would you call this universe-wide? I guess you would. Secret War from 1985. By Jim Shooter, with art by Mike Zeck. Secret Wars, sorry, plural. Okay, technically the whole name is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. And TM, because this thing was made to sell toys. Yeah, baby, let's sell some merchandise. We have so many characters in this. And, we're going to do the same thing we did with Crisis. One issue every episode while we read whatever else we're reading in that episode. And so, let's just get right into issue number 1 with this. And, this thing hits the ground running, doesn't it?
Yep. It's like, there's a space station, page 2. Wow, we're all on this space station. How did we get here? Like, no establishment of their normal lives. No establishment.
Everybody's been teleported up there all at the same time and has no idea what's going on. It's great.
I think even the Spider-Man cartoon wasted time like showing them being zapped from their real daily lives into this thing. It's like, no. It's just a full 2-page splash of like, why are we here? This is crazy.
Well, that's if you read their monthly books, you saw that. If you were reading like Spider-Man, you saw they went to Central Park. And they actually do reference that.
They do. Like, we were just in Central Park and now.
Yeah. But when it was published, did they just come back like immediately the next issue?
Yeah.
Like, and then say like something, and like Spider-Man shows up with his black suit, and they're like, something crazy happened. You'll find out over the next 12 months.
Hell yeah.
That's really cool.
Wait, that's not possible because the black suit didn't even make its debut till later.
Was that Secret Wars 2? Am I wrong?
It's like 7 or something for the black suit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think issue 7 is when the black costume made its first appearance. But it was.
So I don't know how they would have handled the monthly book. I don't know.
But they just went on basically hiatus on. But they just basically.
Popped back in. Okay. I didn't realize they were on hiatus. Sorry, I missed that.
But
okay.
They popped back in, and I forget exactly how they handled it, but that's how they did.
So this book does a great thing where they are all standing in a row and they're like, well, I think we've all met, but just in case we haven't, let's just go through everyone. And so that's a good time to kind of talk about who's there. We've got the Avengers, most of them. We've got, including Iron Man, who's really on leave, but is with us anyways. I love that line. We got Professor X with a bunch of the X-Men and Lockheed the Dragon. We've got the Hulk, we've got Spider-Man, and we've got all of the Fantastic Four except Invisible Woman.
Who is on maternity leave.
Oh, that's right, maternity leave.
Oh, yeah. I will say, though, I really liked how Crisis, I believe Crisis had like a 2-page spread where they had the words under each character describing who they are. This one's a little harder because they just list them like in comma form. And to the point where I'm like, is Colossus Lockheed the Dragon?
It does, I get that. It does a better job throughout the issue of focusing on specific people so that you're like, okay, I know that these are the ones who I'm going to at least learn for now and learn the rest little by little.
And see, that's my problem. I can't tell if, because I this book hit the ground running, and I'm like, I love it. And if I had known every single person in the DC universe, would I have loved Crisis a little bit more? Probably.
There were, yes, for sure, but there were also, those big spreads were so many weird, random little characters who aren't even, the main people, you know? Mm-hmm. Which, here you've got almost like a greatest hits of everyone throughout the Marvel Universe, right?
But, But like, if Crisis number 1 had like the Joker and like some other like supervillain that I would not expect to team up with the Joker, like immediately like teaming up and like fighting with each other, I'd be like, I'm on board.
Yeah, because this shows up in like I think it's page 4. Right after it's like we've got everybody, we list everybody, and then we just see Galactus and Dr. Octopus and Dr. Doom and Kang and the Wrecking Crew and Ultron, and I'm like, everybody's here. And it's a really good visual image because like Ultron is like, Galactus is like way bigger than everybody else. So it's like this is it's a fun setup from Mike Zeck.
Yeah. So we gotta explain. There's another ship where all the villains have been teleported to, and they're there, and it's amazing.
But then you're like, wait a second, Magneto's with the heroes.
What is this? And they can't stop arguing about
all the heroes are super assholes about it.
They are. Murderer! You're a murderer! They're so mean to him. But I mean, at the same time, Magneto is
Spider-Man gets accused of being a criminal like every day in the newspaper. And they're like, I heard you sank a Russian submarine in Cuba. And it's like, yes, I did, after it shot a missile at me.
And then we see this like galaxy just explode and form into a new planet completely. And there's like crazy stuff happening. Their ships are headed toward this planet.
Well, and Doom is like, he's like, oh my gosh. You almost seem like Doom is humbled, and he's like, oh my gosh, such power. But then you're like, wait a second, Doom going to steal
Doom's gonna do what Doom's gonna do. He's gonna try and steal that power for sure. That's all Doom do. That is all Doom do. So they are having this bad time with all the villains as well. Like Doom's kind of trying to stay out of it because Ultron is losing his damn mind, saying, "Humans, I'm supposed to kill all y'all."
Well, and Crusher Creel and Dr. Octopus are like, "I want to see out the window. Stop shoving." And so they get in the fight. I'm just like, this is perfect. I love it.
Molecular Man is there, and he's like, "I don't even want to be a villain anymore. What is this? Like, I'm not supposed to be here."
And Ultron's like, "Ultron gonna destroy you."
Yeah, so Dr. Doom says, hey, listen, Molecular Man, can you just help me out a little bit? Just, like, float Ultron over into Galactus' body over there. And he's like, well, sure, I don't see the harm that could do. And Galactus completely destroys Ultron, like, sucks the life force out of him or something like that. I don't know. Ultron didn't even know how he got there. He was like, I guess I've been rebuilt.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, Molecule Man had recently, I mean, he'd been a Fantastic Four villain, but he hadn't been seen in years, and then Jim Shooter had brought him back, and, like, he's super powerful, but he basically gets defeated by Tigra, of all people, who basically convinces him, like, you really even want to do this? And he's like, I really don't. Yeah. And just talked him out of his supervillainy scheme, and so that's why he's like, I don't even want to be a villain.
If I remember correctly, I think he turned out to be the MacGuffin of the more modern Secret War from 2015, which was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
So he's there, he's doing his thing. These ships end up making their way towards this planet, and this character called the Beyonder. We don't see the Beyonder, but like we hear the Beyonder's voice saying, defeat your enemies, and whatever you want will be yours.
It's slay your enemies, and the lettering's all fun.
Like, it is all fun.
It's all like it's like that SpongeBob meme with like the uppercase and lowercase letters almost.
Almost, yeah, because they're just like all out of place, almost like a kind of a Looney Tunesy, not like a cartoony kind of font. It's I like it. Slay your enemies, and all you desire shall be yours.
And Galactus is like gonna do it, and then he chases after Beyonder, and then gets knocked out, and you're like, oh shit, this Beyonder must be real tough.
Mm-hmm. But Dr. Doom is smart. He's like, let me just follow behind Galactus because he's like busting through all this energy, and I'm just gonna like ride his wind there. What do you call that when
his
you
tail,
ride?
It's like a tail. It's right. I had it. It's what you do in the Tour de France.
Yeah. You pull a Lance Armstrong.
You do steroid. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Galactus is on steroids. He's flying up towards the Beyonder, but just gets knocked out by all this stuff. And Doom's like, whoa, this guy is powerful. And so like all these other villains are like, oh, we gotta win. We can get like anything we want. And Doom's like, really? You guys are thinking about that? No.
Like y'all want to just rob a bank? Like, come on, think about the real prize. Beyonder's power.
Yeah, I like that even though Doom wasn't even there, they go up to Doom and they're like, we made you the leader. Like,
Look, I can't imagine how they would have come to that conclusion. Like, I want to see that scene of them deciding that Dr. Doom should be the leader of all the villains.
He's a doctor.
I do like the way we saw it with
Dr. Octopus and Kang and everyone else are like, yeah, it should be him.
Hold on, they do have that line, like, even though some of us didn't agree, we'll try and keep everyone in line. So I'm sure there will be some dissent among the ranks as we go. But I like the way the heroes all decided on a leader. They, first off, I do take issue with, so apparently at this point Wasp was the leader of the Avengers, and she says, you know what, I'll just defer to Captain America. I feel like most people don't know me as the leader, and they would just appreciate Captain America more and be more willing.
Everybody feels more palatable to have a white man in power. It's just a little easier. Everybody sleeps a little easier at night.
I took some issues with that.
But it's fucking playground shit. It's like, you're the boss of our team. Now let's go defeat everybody with water guns. Man, if me and my friends had been playing Secret Wars like in '85, that would have been great.
Exactly. That's exactly what we've been doing. Yeah.
Also, I feel like both Jim Shooter and Mike Zeck have only the most passing familiarity with Wolverine. Like, he is so out of character, both in drawing and in everything he says.
Let me at him.
Because he's like, I won't follow Captain America. He doesn't even have any superpowers. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Wolverine doesn't know. I do like, though, Spider-Man riding Hulk, like a bull. I do like that.
That's pretty fun. I think my favorite moment is when Dr. Doom says to the other villains, like, y'all are thinking too small. I'm out of here. He flies away in another spaceship. I don't know where he got that. But Kang finds a giant gun lying around and just shoots Dr. Doom out of the sky with it. That was just like, wow, this book is like going places. It is just going for it.
I love that Dr. Doom and Kang are like big brother and little brother. Like, they just, like, they're friends who hate each other.
What did we read about them in? Was it Infinity War? Was that what we
I think it was Infinity Gauntlet.
No, Infinity War, that wasn't...
Yeah, I think it was Infinity War, where they were constantly trying to steal from each other and help each other.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
They were tee-hee-hee in it, yeah.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of that in this issue. I'm getting some glimpses of it here. I've read this before, but I don't remember any of it. So I'm excited to see where it goes, because a lot happens. The heroes see Dr. Doom's plane crash, and so they kind of go over to him. And, oh no, we're under attack because all the bad guys are there. And it's the end of the first issue, and everyone's, like, excited for a big old fight. Oh,
and Lizard's there.
Lizard's there. Enchantress is there. I think we mentioned pretty much everybody. I'm so glad the Wrecking Crew is there, too. Like,
the Wrecking Crew is in so many episodes of this show.
They really are. They might be our most appearances on our show. The Wrecking Crew. I love them. I also really love the Absorbing Man. He's got such a great power set to me, and he's great on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show as well.
Yeah, I love when Dr. Doom is trying to talk to him, and he's like, you would play the Beyonders buffoonish game? And he's like, if that means fight the heroes, then yes. Like, he doesn't even understand what he's being asked, but he's like, if it means fight, yes, that is what I'll do.
So this is a fun comic book to read. I don't know if I would call it good. Like, I'm definitely enjoying myself, so I think technically by that standard, yeah, it's definitely good.
I feel
but
like
it's also pretty. Go ahead.
Oh, it's dumb.
Yeah,
but it's like in. I feel like it's in the Fast and Furious world where it knows what it is and it's doing it.
Yeah, it absolutely knows. It knows it's being dumb.
There's no pathos to this book. There's no attempts at pathos.
It's like, yeah, well, no, there is one. There is one. Reed Richards says, no, I can't be the leader. My wife is pregnant. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it home. My mind's going to be a million miles away. I cannot lead. And I'm like, damn, that's nice. I'm into that.
But everybody else is like, it's just like fighting, and the heroes are fighting amongst themselves. The villains are fighting amongst themselves. Dr. Doom is going to steal some powers. They're all going to fight a bunch of times. It's going to be fun.
What happened with Magneto? He flew away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be some pathos with Magneto too, because he like quit the team in issue 1.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did enjoy the moment where Magneto flies away, and some of the heroes were like, "Whoa, he's flying!" Like, what? You've never seen a supervillain fly? You didn't know Magneto could do that? All right.
I thought he had magnet powers. I read about him in the Times. I don't know what's going on.
I didn't realize magnets could make you fly. Oh, geez. All right. I guess the X-Men have it harder than I thought. Okay.
I think we were talking.
The X-Men were just...
We were talking about that with Venom last episode, where we were like, when Spider-Man goes to San Francisco, people are like, "Are you Spider-Man?" Like maybe they have no clue. They don't have Twitter. They're just sitting on Twitter, just every day reading about Kang. What's going on? Love it.
I mean, but the Avengers have files, you know? Like, I feel like they do their homework.
Yeah.
They would have known what Magneto's up to.
I think you're right, though. Yeah.
And, like, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are there. They should know Magneto.
Do they know he's their dad at this point? Had that been established?
I don't know if they knew he was their dad, but they were part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Okay.
So.
Yes, they for sure, Matt.
Maybe everybody was, like, really mad at Magneto, and they were just, like, quiet. Like...
Yeah, I think they're
like don't draw any fire on us too. They don't know that we're also Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yeah,
fine.
We've been accepted into the Hero Society. First episode, first issue there hits the ground running. I'm excited to get into it. I'm hoping it'll be a lot more fun than Crisis if it continues like this. I think
says next issue, First Blood. Like
First
Rambo.
Blood.
They drew
Rambo's
First Blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rambo joins the Rambo.
Rambo is in it.
A new
If
challenger
Rambo
arrives.
Yeah, it's going to be all the Marvel heroes and Rambo and Ash versus the DC heroes and Predator and Alien and Freddy and Jason.
Wow. It's going to be like the Smash Brothers for Switch.
That's be great. You know, they should just make a fighting game that has every character from everything ever. I think that would be good.
Smash is getting there. It has Cloud.
Boy, yeah, for sure. But I mean, like everything. I mean, like all the Marvel heroes,
and like the Green Giant and Mr. Clean.
The cast of, and like the cast of Frasier.
And, good lord!
Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Oh baby, I hear the blues are calling.
Yes, that's the finishing move. All right, we gotta end. We gotta wrap this up. Next time, what are we talking about? It's spooky season. Happy October, everyone. We didn't do that. The regularly occurring segment on our show when we wish you a happy new month. Yeah. But we are reading something spooky. We are reading Afterlife with Archie. I can't wait to read this. I'm so excited. Last year we read Chilling Adventures of Sabrina from the same creative team. Absolutely
different
loved it.
artist, but same
writer.
writer.
Oh, you're right. Different artist, same writer. Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who is the showrunner for the Riverdale TV show. He is also going to be in charge of the new Chilling Adventures of Sabrina TV show that's coming to Netflix so soon.
October 26th. So excited.
I can't wait. And so he's also written this Afterlife with Archie thing. We are going to read the first 6 issues, the first trade, that is Escape from Riverdale. Started in 2013, but there's only 10 issues out, coming about as slowly as Sabrina. Art by Francisco Francavilla, we think it is.
Which he did the Black Panther and Man Without Fear book, and he also did Detective Comics right before the New 52. He's a good artist. He's got a good pulpy art style. It's back when Archie Comics was starting to change. This actually predates Chilling Adventures of Sabrina also. Yeah, they did this Afterlife with Archie one first. People liked it so much that they greenlit Chilling Adventures, and so I'm really curious to see what this is all about. Plus, again, spooky season. I love doing everything spooky during spooky season. Thank you all so much for joining us throughout this entire ride that was Crisis. We hope you'll keep listening with us throughout the Secret Wars ride. But for Vince and Chris, you guys got anything? Oh, yeah, Chris, what's going on with your Stupid Minds?
Well, our podcast co-host recently had his first kid.
Kid with Sinbad?
Yes, an episode we have previously done, so check that episode out. But so we did The Uninvited a few weeks ago. We will be back soon, but we've taken a couple of weeks off in the meantime.
Great. Yeah. We might as well mention Vince. You got number 2 coming up very shortly.
Yes.
And so we're gonna do our best to not take any big breaks. We're gonna try and do some one shots, maybe some shorter episodes here. But we'll see how it goes from there. We'll do our best.
Yeah, it depends. We are less than a month away from the baby being born, and my wife is having regular contractions, so anything could happen.
Yeah, anything could happen. So, bear with us if something like that goes on. We'll let you know. We'll keep you in the loop. But again, thank you so much for listening. For Vince and Chris and myself, Kia, we love you so much. Enjoy the rest of your spooky season. Bye.